Okay, everybody, good early evening. Hope you guys are doing well on this Sunday. Day 2 of training camp has wrapped up. Day 2 of training camp is in the books, and we've gotten some good information from it. It's obviously not going to be the high of yesterday because yesterday was the first day and everything is on some level a little bit new. This is the very next day. Never going to be quite as exciting, I think, but nevertheless, we did get a good chunk of information, so we're going to go ahead and go through what's been passed along here. Just kind of your end of day recap. By the way, I don't know if people like it better when I post the training camp day recaps at the end of that day or early the next day. So we'll just kind of feel it out here. But let's go through some of the things that people said here. Not really any kind of like a singular recurring theme, but a handful of interesting notes. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. So some of the things that were passed along today. First, Devin Witherspoon. Still practicing, still out there, still seems fine. Of course, as of me recording this video, we don't have a new contract yet, and today was kind of a date by which some people thought we might finalize things, and I don't know if anything's going to get done this late in the day, but as of right now, haven't heard anything, so I anticipate it'll get done very soon, but he's not letting it bother him either way, it looks like, so if anyone was wondering about that, nothing new on the contract front. Some of the other notes that I saw from today, this was a Curtis Allen, by the way, Curtis. A lot of good stuff that he tweeted out again today. He is at most of these training camp sessions. Oh, excuse me. So Torrey Horton has been doing a lot of work taking punts. He's doing receiver stuff too, but there's been a lot of focus on him doing punt work. Keep in mind that this team does have Rashid Shaheed, and he's maybe the best punt returner in football. He's certainly up there. So the fact that Horton's getting all these reps must indicate that we really feel like he's a really solid number 2 punt returner. Remember, you only need to have one punt returner back there at any time, so obviously you want to protect yourself against injuries, but clearly Horton is emerging as that guy, so that's good. I don't know how much he'll get to play as a receiver this year, but if he can earn value on special teams, then that's great. So saw more talk about that. More stuff with the offensive line. John Benton working with a Zabel and Cross in this little video from Curtis Allen. And, it got me thinking about if Zabel can avoid the sophomore slump and Zabel has a really good year. I mean, think about how close we'll be on the offensive line to really having something not only really good, but something that is also going to be good for a while because both of our tackles and, of course, Zabel are very young. And it just kind of got me thinking about how this is the first time in a little while where we've been able to have continuity at the offensive line coach. And we've talked about this before, don't get me wrong, but that's going to be a great benefit to a guy like Zabel. And if he can ascend to maybe being like a Pro Bowler this year, which I think is reasonable, I think that if he plays the way that he played the last 5 to 6 games of the year last year, he'll probably be a Pro Bowler. And then you've got 3 really good players on the offensive line. And at that point, most teams would rather have your offensive line than the ones that they have. So we're getting real close there. Good stuff happening here as well. Also saw some stuff with a Shaheed. The word that keeps getting thrown around is connection between Darnold and Shaheed. And that goes back to earlier in the offseason as well, but really, really exciting. All right, guys, let's take a quick break here to talk a little bit about Prize Picks, currently the #1 sports pick app in America. The app is very easy to use. Check it out to my left here. You can do player picks, where you just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. Or you can pick teams, where you pick winners, spread, or total on any game or fight. The app is available in most states, including California, Texas, and Florida. Right now, they have a great offer. You can play your first $5 lineup and get $150 in lineups if you win. All you have to do is use code HMA when you sign up. It's a brand new offer. Best time possible to get on the app. So get on over there and get to winning that first lineup. So remember, Prize Picks, code HMA. Download the app today, and remember to always gamble responsibly. I continue to believe in, and I know that there were some people who were a little bit confused when we gave Shaheed a $50 million contract in the offseason, but I believe that in an offense that wasn't so dominated by running and JSN, Shaheed could be a 1,000 yard receiver in this league. You put him in the right situation, he could be a good 1,000 yard receiver. So do not count him out of surprising people. I think he could have around 800 yards this year. Remember, yards are pretty easy to come by for him because he is such a big play guy. He doesn't need to catch the ball a bunch in order to get yards. And I believe that by the end of this year, we'll be looking at Shaheed as a bargain. I think that we're going to look at some of the other guys who got paid this offseason, like I think it was Romeo Dobbs and Christian Watson, and think to ourselves, we got a real one here with Shaheed, and we are much better off than those teams are with their contracts. Some injury stuff. First, good news, Dante Fowler was warming up, had his helmet on, so he's fine. Not that that was expected to go any other way. But definitely expect some of these guys to get a lot of days off, especially now. Remember, on some level, these guys, not necessarily Fowler, but these guys are getting rewarded for winning the Super Bowl last year. Part of that reward, I think, is taking it easy on them in the offseason when you know they don't really need to get pushed that much. Like, my understanding was today Leonard Williams and DeMarcus Lawrence both had the day off. So there's going to be a lot of moving older players around like that. And we know they're going to be there when we need them. Now, some bad news, Irv Charles. There was one point in practice today where he walked off with a trainer and he came back later, but no helmet. So, not a great sign there. Normally, it wouldn't be a big deal, but remember, Irv Charles already had one devastating injury that has cost him a significant portion of his career. We traded for him with the hope that he could become the elite special teamer that he was a couple of years ago for the Jets, but it just seems like he can't catch a break. And hopefully this ends up being really minor, but with his history, I would not necessarily assume that. Now, the good news is we've got other guys who can be our gunner on special teams without Irv Charles, but there's a reason why we traded for him. We saw an opportunity to get somebody who was really, really good at that part of the game, and it just seems like he just can't get just can't get healthy, and it's a bummer because he was really good. So some stuff about usage on defense from Curtis Allen here. Rylie Mills as a big defensive end. Remember, he was an edge rusher in college before gaining weight and switching position. So there is some stuff going on here with us creatively deploying players and playing with two hands in the ground with Uchenna upright next to him and Derek Hall on the other side. So this is something that we've seen McDonald do. Sometimes you see Leonard Williams playing big edge. And I think there have even been some snaps where Byron Murphy plays as like an oversized edge, which very creative, but you can really see how good McDonald is at moving guys around. And this is something that the team talked about, I think it was yesterday, when they were talking about how they don't want to pigeonhole a player into a particular position. They don't want to think of a guy like, say, Jared Ivey as just being an edge. They think of him as a football player and then they go from there. So this is one of the things about this defense that is so fun. So Rylie Mills seems like there's a creative plan there. Definitely want to see how that develops as time goes by. Dante Fowler working with the twos, lining up left end in a 2-point stance, standing up. Believe that's typically been the best Dante Fowler has been when he's allowed to work in a 2-point stance, standing up. So keep in mind that Dante Fowler, again, understanding that we're going to move players around, is by and large an edge rusher. So lining up with the ones, lining up with the twos, it doesn't matter as much because there's a rotation. Second line defensive line is Fowler, Mills, Peely, Morris. So Mike Morris may be getting involved here. And I'll tell you, I've heard good things so far this camp about Morris and Peely. And those are two guys who are kind of on the brink. I think only one of those guys makes it. Maybe the other guy goes to the practice squad. So the fact that those guys are showing up right now is making this team have some, they're the kind of decisions that you want to be making at the end of the training camp and preseason. Who you going to keep? Who you going to let go? If there was a theme today, and I don't really feel like there was, if there was, and there's one to camp so far, it's this idea of seeing what these running backs can do in the passing game. Because with the exception of Halani, who even there, I mean, it's not like he's done it that much. It's all theoretical for the most part. Getting Jadarian Price going in the passing game, and obviously the results on the first day were mixed. Today sounded like it was pretty good. Lots of reps going out for passes. Just had a great catch on a low throw by Milrow to keep the ball off the turf. So there's definitely there's definitely a concerted effort to see if Price can handle that responsibility. And so far, it seems like it's going fairly well. He did have a couple drops yesterday, but he also had a really nice catch yesterday and now today. Now, the Milrow thing, if you want to look at the other side of it, I did hear about this, which was, not a very good throw on a dump off to Price. However, I did hear about one good throw that he had to, I think it was Bobo, up the seam, and we are starting to see some improvement there overall, I guess. Still not looking good when he's throwing outside the numbers, is my understanding, but maybe we're starting to head in the right direction there. Still just kind of seems like overall inconsistent, but not necessarily hopeless. So mixed bag there, as always. Myers made a 60-yard field goal, which we know he can do. He did it a few years ago in LA, but not something we've asked him to do recently. Or, well, we asked him to do it against LA last year, I guess, and he did not hit it. But we are starting to see more and more kickers in the NFL right now that are capable of hitting the 60-yarders. So if Myers wants to be the highest paid kicker, you'd like him to at least be able to do it the way that some of the Brandon Aubrey types can. I know he'll never have a leg like that, but the fact that he has the leg even hypothetically to do it is good to know. Some of the highlight plays near the end of the practice came on the defense. Julian Neal had a really nice breakup on a Darnold pass to JSN. My understanding, though, is that JSN overall looked really good today. I understand that's not really exciting anymore because he was so good last year. It's like, well, where else are we going to go from here? Are we going to be surprised that he looked good in practice? No. There's nothing like shocking about JSN looking really good, but Neal had a nice play on a Darnold pass, so he's going up against the ones on offense and doing stuff. Really excited about his future. And the play of the day actually came from, of all people, Pat O'Connell had a beautiful leaping pick of Sam Darnold. So Pat O'Connell, who is fighting for his roster spot, either going to be the last linebacker on the 53 man or the first guy off the practice squad. That'll definitely stick in your memory a little bit. I know it's not, I know it's would be a little more exciting to come from somebody who actually plays regularly, but Pat O'Connell, he wants that roster spot. And you look at a play like this, and I saw a pretty, I did see a video of it. It wasn't a great video necessarily, but he wants it, and that's the kind of attitude that we're bringing to this camp so far. So Nemhauser was also there tweeting some video clips, JSN doing his thing. Again, heard JSN looked really good today. He took questions at the podium after the practice was over. Yeah, Leonard Williams, DeMarcus Lawrence working on a side field during team drills, getting the day off. Fowler back at practice. So that is kind of, we've got a handful of older players on this defense. Expect Jaron Reed to get thrown into this bunch as well. Another highlight of the day, Cooper Kupp, really good diving catch along the sideline in a 7-on-7. So don't forget about him yet. And Cooper Kupp's going to be there when we need him, right? Cooper Kupp, I don't know how many catches he'll make this year, but I believe he'll make an important catch at some point this season, and maybe that's good enough. It's we may not get all our money's worth, but we may end up coming out of the season without really being upset about it, because there's so much that Cooper Kupp delivers beyond just catching the ball in an NFL game, as much as that is the most important part of his job. And yeah, more stuff about Price here from Greg Bell, kind of echoing what we saw from Curtis earlier, where there's a lot of passing game stuff going on with him. They're working him a lot catching passes. He's been working on the first, second, and third team. So he's been getting a ton of reps. And look, he's got tread on the tire, right? Because he didn't play that much in college. My understanding is that overall today he looked good again. So we're headed in the right direction. And this is kind of the big story to watch right now in terms of players. Is Price going to be ready? So that's really about all I was able to pick up on today. So good arrangement of news, but definitely ready for even more. And that will come as camp goes on. All right. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Everyone have a good rest of your day. And more training camp coverage as we actually get training camp sessions. See you guys soon.